Hi, I'm Mr. Kelly, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Biotechnology Pathway. So the Biotechnology Pathway is a unique science pathway we have at Simi Valley High School. We have a whole host of courses that will be available to students from freshman year all the way through senior year. I have lots of students that I end up teaching for all 4 years, and it's truly a blessing for me. So we have an honors biology for biotechnology course. We have honors chemistry for biotechnology. Those are what we call our foundation courses, right? And those courses we use to gather knowledge and information that makes students successful when they get into what we call our capstone classes. So biotechnology, intro to molecular biology. So this right here is our capstone class. So that would be taken as a junior. In that class, we'll start to really get into the things that you would do as a biotechnology student in a college setting. So that college course, it is actually a college course at the high school. It's what's called an articulated course. So that course, when the student completes, they will be eligible for 4 college units, and those college units are going to be transferable to both UC and CSU. And if they're available for UC credit, they're pretty much available for transfer anywhere, right? Because almost everybody takes a UC credit. Additionally, on top of that, that student can get a 5.8 for that class, much like an AP class would be, right? Then in the senior year, they can take a science and ethics of biotechnology. That's a really interesting course. So for students, especially who've been in the pathway for a number of years, that's when we really get to start talking about what we can do in biotechnology, and then really talk about the ethics of what's involved and should we really do it, right? So we can do a lot of really great things, and every year there's more great things we can do. But at the same time, there's ethical paradigms we need to look through that lens with to see if those are the things that we should be doing, even though we can't. So again, that is also worth that UC honors 5.A, right? So those are that. So a couple things, questions I always get, well, if my student is interested in biotechnology, but they really want that AP experience, can they still take an AP course? And the answer is yes, right? So in those foundation courses, the student may substitute AP courses. So instead of honors biology for biotechnology, if they wanted to take an AP biology, that would be fine, right? So that's kind of our sequence, right? Which is a little different than the sequence that somebody would take if they were in just a regular CP course sequence at the school. So biotechnology, I'm sure that we've all heard a lot about biotechnology lately because of this whole COVID thing we've been going through, right? These RNA viruses or these RNA vaccines are really a child of the biotechnology industry, and these are fantastic vaccines. So a vaccine with a 94-95% effective rate. Historically, vaccines are somewhere around 60%, right? So we're able to really hone in on what you've probably heard of spike proteins, what makes viruses detectable to the human body. So we are on the horizon of a lot of really new and great things. But biotechnology is the present and future of many science-based careers. So a criminalist, forensic scientist, those are the people who work for FBI and law enforcement looking at, the DNA record of things at crime scenes. Medical diagnostic technicians, when I first started working in the hospitals, we would have to take a lab sample and send it to the lab and grow it on a plate and then test it against a bunch of antibiotics and do gram stains on it and try to identify what it is. Now we just simply strip the DNA from bacteria, and then in about 12 hours we know exactly what it is instead of waiting for about 4 or 5 days. Right, so there's a lot of stuff we can do. Plant science, right, GMOs, right? A lot of people don't understand about GMOs, but really as we overpopulate the planet, GMOs are one of these things that we might be looking for in the future to help feed populations that are food insecure. Environmental science, we do a lot of bioremediation or designing bacteria that eat oil spills and digest plastics and whatnot. and all the way down. So there's a lot of things. It's a growing field and it's growing exponentially. So it's not something that is not going to be around for a while. So benefits for the student. So they get to experience actual lab equipment used in college and industry. So this is a lab-based program. So we do a lot of labs here. And once you get up to the capstone classes, the majority of the year is just doing stuff. And the students love that so much because they get to do, right? So we don't do a whole lot of time just book learning. We get a lot of time doing. And even in the senior class, the science and ethics class, we expand on those labs that we did in the biotechnology class. We do bigger labs. We look at, how the industry reports and records and whatnot. So really, they get this experience, this college level experience. They get skill acquisition when they get to college, and they're in that competitive environment. They'll have a thumbs up. I talked to my daughter's friend who just graduated from a university in biotechnology, and much of the stuff we did here, she did through her 4 years of undergraduate. So they're going to get that experience here. Dual credit, that is a benefit, right? So when you apply for college, or your student applies for college, there are categories you get to list things in. And then college credit kind of lines up along with what an AP class would be. So this college credit they get is just another thing. And if they're a completer in the pathway, that's just another thing on their college application that sets them apart from other people. Examples of labs, like I said, we do crime scene labs. We use enzymes to cut DNA up, and we can measure little small fragments of DNA that are much too small to be seen. We learn how to harvest our DNA in our cells and strip the DNA out of our cells and then measure it. So again, some of the specialized lab equipment, this class is unlike most other classes or this series of classes. We have lots of specialized equipment, right? From PCR machines that make billions of copies in 2 hours, centrifuges that spin at 6,000 and 15,000 RPM, right, that really strip that DNA out of cell debris, right? We have spectrophotometers that we use different wavelengths of light to identify different types of molecules. We got thermal blocks, we've got hot baths, we've got incubators, we've got shaking incubators, right, that aerate, we've got micropipettes, we've got horizontal gel systems, we've got vertical gel systems, we've got shakers, we've got analytic balance, we've got a lot of stuff, right? So this authentic experience the students are going to get is all based on things that you would find at a well-equipped college, right? They get their own drawers, right? They have their own equipment. They'll manage their own documentation, and it'll be a really good experience for them. And that's basically it. So there's a lot of things, and you hear about pathways, but really the benefit of a pathway is they get connected, right? They get that focus that carries them through high school. And there's a lot to be said about success of students and being connected to a program. Well, I hope this answers your question. Feel free to email me at Patrick Kelly or patrick.kelly, and I'll make sure I include this with it. But that's about it. Feel free to contact me with any questions.